So Marvel just released the first episode of Moon Knight, and I thought that it was an excellent introduction for the character. This video is a breakdown of episode 1, so without wasting any more time, let's just jump into it. If you're not a fan of, or just don't read the Marvel comics, I'm going to explain the character and why he's so important. Moon Knight is one of the slightly more obscure comic superheroes. The character suffers from dissociative identity disorder, causing him to have 3 identities. These identities are known as Mark Spector, a mercenary, Jake Lockley, a taxi driver, and Stephen Grant, a billionaire businessman. In the show, this is slightly different as Stephen Grant, who isn't the dominant identity, actually works as a gift shop employee at the Museum of Fine Arts located in London. In the comics, Mark Spector is the dominant identity, and it also appears that way in the show too, as we often see Stephen black out for a while before waking up back in strange scenarios. The character first appeared in Werewolf by Night issue 32 and was created by Doug Monk and Don Perlin. He's also widely regarded as Marvel's answer to Batman, given the billionaire persona given to him in the comics. Seeing that the Batman just released, I think it's a smart idea to change this up, as not to draw too many similarities. The origins of Moon Knight are quite supernatural, as you might have noticed, and I think where the MCU is currently going by introducing this side of the universe is interesting, but I guess we'll see where this goes in the future. As you may know, Blade made a cameo in the post-credit scene of Eternals, and I do believe that Blade will show up by the end of the series, hopefully setting up Midnight Suns, but I'll talk about that more later. Anyway, on with the breakdown. Episode 1 begins with a man shattering glass and spreading them in his shoes. This man is Arthur Hallow, who is the antagonist of the series. He appears to be some kind of cult leader and follower of the Egyptian goddess known as Ammit. After this cold open, we get the Marvel logo and get introduced to our main identity for this episode, Stephen Grant, who chains himself to his bed to prevent himself from changing identities and walking off in the middle of the night. We also see that he places sand around the floor to know if he's been switching identities. At this point, Stephen is unaware of his multiple identities. Also, we know he owns a fish named Gus. He heads off to work where we see he's working at a museum in London. He knows a lot about Egypt and its history and deities, resulting in wanting to be a tour guide, but ultimately getting denied this position by his boss. Stephen switches identities, and when Stephen switches back over, he finds himself with broken jaw in the middle of a field and gets ordered by Khonshu, the Egyptian spirit possessing his body, to let Mark take back over. Soon he's being shot at by some men who we can assume are followers of Arthur Hallow. He runs over to a nearby village where we see the cult leader murder a woman. I'm not entirely sure of Hallow's origins or powers, but my guess is that Kevin Feige wants us to believe that he is a mutant. It would make sense given that his powers are somewhat similar to the X-Men character Rogue. Arthur demands Stephen that he hands over the scarab that he's holding onto. As he attempts to give it to Arthur, Khonshu moves his arm out of the way, leading Stephen to be chased. We get some really cool editing where Mark and Stephen fight to be the dominant identity. Stephen wakes up in his flat, and we're told that it's been 2 days after he's missed a date with his co-worker due to Mark being in control. Stephen finds a mysterious phone inside of his flat with a lot of missed calls from a woman named Layla, and the other contact is called Duchamp. Mark begins to speak to Stephen and warns him to stop looking. Stephen runs into a lift where he's terrorised by Khonshu. We pick back up with Stephen at work where we see that Arthur has been following him. After hours in the museum in which Stephen works, he's attacked by a jackal that chases him into a bathroom. Mark begs Stephen for control, turning into Moon Knight and beating the jackal to death. This is where the episode ends. As I mentioned earlier, I do think Blade will be showing up by the end of the series to recruit Mark Spector to join the Midnight Suns. This could be a small cameo similar to what we saw in the post-credit scene of Eternals. I think this would be a great idea as we get to explore a completely different side of the MCU, that being the supernatural side. The Midnight Suns were formed in the comics by Danny Ketch and Johnny Blaze, after Ghost Rider received a vision that Lilith, the mother of all demons, was being resurrected and posed a great threat to the Marvel Universe. In the MCU, this could be slightly different, as we know that Marvel Studios is planning a Blade film starring Mahershala Ali. Therefore, there may be different reasons as to why this team is being formed. Maybe it's something to do with the Scarlet Witch, or maybe it's something to do with Mephisto. We don't know. The MCU characters we've seen that could be a part of the Midnight Suns are Blade, Black Knight, and Moon Knight. The comics has a wide range of characters joining the team, like Ghost Rider, Blade, Morbius, and even Doctor Strange, so we might be seeing Strange team up with them at some point as well. As for the episode, I thought it was an amazing start, and I do believe that this is the best first episode we've gotten from a Marvel Disney Plus show. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, I'd very much appreciate a like and subscribe. For now, I've been CosmicFilms, and I'll talk to you all later.